issue that I see all the time is that people will just leave leads on the table because they think they inquire once, they didn't get back, and then they just left it.
That's why we do free 15-minute calls, even if we know the business owner has not got the money to start with Bankhouse Media. Hi and welcome to the Mindset and Marketing Podcast. My name is Matthew Toman and I am your co-host for today's show, joined with
Sharon Kirkpatrick.
Here at the Mindset and Marketing Podcast, we aim to give you jargon-free on information around everything mindset and everything marketing, two of the most important things that you must master to achieve everything in your life. And this week, I have been tested on all of it. Mindset and marketing. Do you know, I've been so looking forward to the podcast because I feel like I can just relax. I've had...
Are you going to vent everything on the podcast
no,
today?
No, it's not that everything... It's like my phone's
now.
on airplane. My phone's on airplane mode. Nobody can get me.
That's a dream.
Amazing. This week has just been like... I've been so looking forward to doing this because just for the next hour, we can be chatting. I don't have to worry about being distracted by that over there or that over there. It's been one of those weeks, you know.
Well, we all get them. Them, so we do. And I was actually worried that we weren't going to get it done because of my voice. So we had to push it out. Yeah.
Sharon lost her voice, so we couldn't do it yesterday. And then I lost my mind, so we nearly couldn't do it today. But we've got your voice back and my mind back. So how's your week been?
It's been good. Probably too good, hence the reason I lost my voice. It's still not 100% yet, but you know, it's pretty much on track. So this voice was lost. Now I think it is just a bit of a coincidence. So I was at a family wedding in Wales. It was the best crack. My cousin James was getting married to Emily, and that was on the Wednesday, and all the family were over from Northern Ireland and all the Welsh ones, and you know, it was brilliant down in the valleys, and yeah, it all went swimmingly. And then the next morning, could hardly talk. Now, I think it's actually the music was so loud that I was just trying to shout over people because it wasn't like it was with my family. I wasn't going mental, you know.
Yeah, for like loyal listeners to the podcast, Sharon's back vaping.
Oh, here, listen, away from the start. It's nothing to do with the vapes. I've been vaping like almost every day.
I usually think you're like that whenever it's flights, though. You always go like that with
flights.
I
am like that one. And I had flights.
Maybe the heating, and do you know, it could be I find that some hotel rooms are like dusty, and I don't know.
Yeah, the aircon could be a problem because there was like, you know, a heating system in the hotel that does the aircon. So that crap is going through the air, and my voice can't cope with them.
Yeah, no, mine can't either.
You're right. When I get flights, I get like this, or I get a sore throat. And I had 2 flights in the last week. 4 or 2 returns. So it's not the vapes, it's not the alcohol, it's the flights and the air conditioning.
It could be the shouting and partying. Well, I mean, I think it's a combination of all of it. But sure, do you know why? I'd rather have a sore throat and have like a ball with my family and a few vapes, you know. I don't vape, and I'm not condoning it, but at the same time, if I did, I would just do it, you know.
I get you. And the thing is, I didn't help myself because then on the Saturday when I got back, so Thursday I lost my voice, Saturday my friends had pre-booked me into an over 30s club in Belfast that starts at 5 and ends at 9. I want to go to that.
I need to go to that the next time I'm back.
I know, it was class.
My friends used to go to that in Dublin from like 6 a.m. to like 7:30 to 8. It was like a rave before work. My week was good. What did I do? I don't know. What did I do? A couple of hikes, just normal stuff. Loads of food, hikes, class, stand up. It was all good. Just work this week. Work this week has been intense. Actually, do you want to know what? It was because Sharon was off for 3 days. Probably because I didn't have you. But no, there's loads going on with just like we're in the middle of launching a new product at the minute, and there's like a 60 sequence email flow. And we're moving over to a new CRM and we're running traffic, which actually is what we're going to be talking about today. But it's been a crazy week work-wise, and I got the maddest, shortest haircut I've had since I was about 19.
I've actually just noticed that, how short it is now.
Yeah, I got
How
it.
are you feeling about it?
I love it. I love it. I would shave it off, actually, to be honest. Only I've got some videos to shoot this week. But I definitely
Turn around to see.
Yeah.
Very good.
I
Matthew
like
and
it.
I are obsessed with hair.
I know. Like, I'm loving having it short for a while. It's so good. It's so nice to have it short, I swear to God, because you know yourself. But apart from that, what else did I do? I seen a couple of movies in the cinema. Don't ask me their names. One of them went over to the Skywalk, which was over at Universal Studios. Flat out in the gym. I'm just loads of things. It's been a hectic week, to be honest. Boring, probably.
Well, I think maybe I was doing all kind of partying for you, you know. Like it was one of those vibes when, you know, you go into the club and it plays all the old tunes, but it was so loud as well. And there was like a dance room with like confetti cannons and like a saxophone player, you know, playing the dance music. And then what happens is you go outside and it's still daylight and you're like the dream. So you can get the bus home at 9.
Oh, that's brilliant. Well, I ended up, I booked a few holidays, Chicago, Japan, and I'm doing a really, really nice Portugal trip, 10 days, which I can't wait. And then I think I'm going to stay on. Just found out that one of our clients is actually going to the Portugal for the summer as well. So I think I might go and hang out with him for a while.
Nice.
Yeah, but life is definitely good. I'm very grateful and, you know, still having a ball. It's been a challenging week just with the workload because I'm trying to do everything in the morning before like you all finish. The time delayed really this week has really, really just like has, you know, worked with me.
Has it? It's not for, because I feel the same because we have a few clients in America, but the time delay isn't working for me this week. It just seems like everything is happening after hours. Isn't that so funny? This is the joys of being in an online business and catering to lots of different markets. You have to be available.
But once we get into our new CRM, we're moving CRMs at the minute as well, and that's actually the main thing. So anyway, what is today's topic?
Just straight in. Today we are talking about mastering leads.
Yeah,
because
mastering leads.
This is something in the agency that we come up against all the time.
I love your nails, by the way. What's going on?
Thanks. They were kind of, well, that was just like I don't know what happened because they were getting quite long, and I just thought, do you know what? Do a wee nail polish.
Oh my God! I thought I was the one lost my mind. What has happened to you? Who are you becoming?
Did they not say there's something like, does the total eclipse or something not have mess up everybody? So maybe that's what's going on.
I nearly shaved my head and you've painted your nails. Wow.
Oh gosh.
Jeez,
roll on next week when we're back to normal.
Oh yeah, please. Let's bring it. But so this one is about mastering leads. Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's okay. Because I was saying we see it all the time in the agency when, you know, there's missed opportunities for potential inquiries or engagement online to become a qualified, you know, customer that's made your business money. So I just thought it would be worth talking about kind of why it's important to understand that you need to master leads. They don't just land at your door and convert into customers. Some do, but if you don't put the work in, then, you know, the potential is that you've lost other potential leads that have fallen off the wayside because you haven't engaged properly or the right amount of times or whatever it might be. So there's an opportunity to be missing potential there. And then you've also got businesses who maybe don't necessarily go after leads all the time. They just come to them. So just kind of going through this process to see some tips about what you can do to try and improve any leads that are coming into your business. And if you aren't that kind of business at the moment, ways in which you could maybe start thinking about seeing those opportunities.
Yeah, so we do paid traffic in-house, and we're massive like referral based and inbound leads. People come organically into us, but we don't need a lot of leads to have a very profitable business because, you know, because of the price point of the entry point into Bankhouse Media. But we've other businesses in the fitness space that enter in at $19.99. We've other businesses in the personal development space and the mindset space and marketing space, sorry, that entry point is free with movies and things. So, but with every single product, we have our sales, we have our value ladder created. For every single product that comes in, we will know where the value ladder goes, and that is something that people really need to focus on. Organic, before Sharon kicks into like the top where we're going to go with today, like organic is, in my opinion, unless you have got an unbelievable offer that is just like in a niche, rock bottom price, and people are like talking about you all over town, organic isn't really there anymore. You need to invest in paid traffic, so much so that over the past like month and a half, and this is one of the reasons why I've got stress on me, we have changed the direction of Bankhouse Media to become a lead generation agency solely. Right now we're still going to do websites and sales funnels and create everything that's needed, but we're going to be focusing on our main offer to be lead generation, because that is how people grow and scale their business. That's how they do it.
And the thing on that as well is that, you know, part of any lead generation strategy will be creating sales pages, or will having an online presence on your website or whatever. So it all ties in.
It's formulating it. It's bringing it all in and making it all make sense. It's like bringing it in and going, okay. So instead of having a website up there that's not working for you, it's like, oh, okay, my website's my most valued team member now. My sales funnels are like working harder than anybody on the floor. You know? Yeah.
I think the main purpose of kind of the main kind of overview in all of this is basically, and we'll give tips after, but the main thing is that you need to know the numbers. You know, it's a numbers game. So if you're listening to this right now and you don't know how many leads you got in, and I'm not talking about sales that you've made, I'm talking about how many people have inquired or how many people have engaged with your business, because anybody who does that is a potential. So they're the leads. If you don't have one somewhere where you can gather all of that information in one place, or two, if you don't have then an idea on the numbers around that, so how many leads are you getting, and like that's per month, per quarter, per year. If you don't know those, if you don't have that or know those two things, then the big problem there is you don't know if your online business strategy is working. You can't forecast your earnings for the future of your business. You can't outline places where your strategy or your messaging to clients isn't working, so you can't figure out how to make it better. And then, in all honesty, if you don't have any of that, you definitely shouldn't be a business that is creating targets, because where are you making those target numbers up from? You know, they're just all kind of being made, they're kind of being pulled out of the air, so they're not realistic. So it's going to cause problems whenever it comes to you trying to forecast your figures to your whatever business partner or whoever it might be, board, to your staff, or just to yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So
look,
that's...
that's the thing. And where Sharon would get the leads in from Bankhouse, right? They would land into her email or into our CRM, and they would be like, okay, is this a dud lead or is this a good lead or whatever? And then she relays that back to the team who run the ads. Where it all starts, and I know, Sharon, that you know this as well, 100%, but where it all even starts is clicks. So whenever you do get in and you're running your ads and you're saying, okay, I spent £1,000 this month and I got 3,000 clicks or 10,000 clicks or whatever, how much a click is for you, whatever niche you're in. And then if you say that, okay, I got 10,000 clicks and I got 2 opt-ins, right? You're like, okay, well, there's 10,000 people clicking the ad and landing on the page and you get 2 opt-ins. That's weird. Do you know what's going on with your sales page? Do you know what I mean? And then you're like, okay, there's a problem here. Then you get 10,000 clicks and 3,000 opt-ins. Right, you're like, oh my God, we're converting really, really well. This sales page is flying, you know?
The dream.
And then it's like, well, on the phone, why are we not getting any sales? Why out of those 3,000 people, is there only like 4 people signing up? Because 2,996 people are in the wrong country, speaking the wrong language, doing the wrong thing. Okay, let's go back and say, okay, well then our clicks for our targeting is the problem. So you go back to targeting. Do you know? So the point I'm trying to do with making that is, before you jump back in, Sharon, is there's a chain of events. And if you're getting clicks, leads, sales, and making money, everything's working perfect. If you're not getting sales, then you have to go back and look at the clicks part. Okay, how many people are clicking it, opting in? There's always a problem in your chain somewhere. Do you get me? And it's easily identified.
And the thing is, it's way easier, right, when you're running like ad campaigns. It's way easier at the start. So you had mentioned at the start there, Matthew, about how we have mapped, our whole value ladder out, right? So we have done that. So an easy way to think about that is the customer journey. So from when someone first physically sees your brand online or walking down the street, that's the first interaction they have with your business. Now, whenever it comes to kind of a physical thing, they're seeing it, but they're not online anywhere. That's hard. You can't track that interaction. But the benefit of having a website and having ads and all of that is any website visitor. Now, there is software to get their name and email and all of that, but you're not necessarily going to, at that point, know their name. But there is tools on your website that will allow you to see how many of them are seeing that. So you'll see straight away like what your first what the first engagement is with them, because you'll have X amount of website visitors. So it's not just in the ad campaign. So you'll see X amount of website visitors, and if you're seeing, like Matthew gave an example, hundreds of thousands of website visitors or a few thousand a month, and you're not seeing any inquiries or any sales in the end of that. So that's the first step in the customer journey that's wrong, that Matthew said. And with ad campaigns, it goes a step further, because you can show them the sales. You've got like the copy that goes on the front of the ad, you've got the sales page on the website, and then from there the ad campaigns track numbers like conversion. So they clicked and then did they convert and all of that. So, but which is great, because a lot of the time if you're running an ad campaign, you'll have a digital agency who will give you all of those stats. It's after that point, and it's anything outside of that point that people miss, because after leads are passed on to clients, it's then them being able to have control over where they go or what happens then. And this is kind of what I kind of want to get into, because if someone picks up the phone in your business right now, speaks to a member of staff, and goes through whatever it is that they need to go through, are you storing that lead somewhere on your system?
Whenever we run ads, there's a couple of things that we would say. Have a phone number on your website. Have your where you opt in for your email. Have a WhatsApp on there so you can directly connect with them on WhatsApp. And then have all the different contact forms related to the services that you provide. So you could pick it up from there, what you were going to say, whether you're replying to someone on WhatsApp, receiving a call, or making an outbound call from an email submission. What, Sharon, has to happen next?
Yeah, and if someone then just randomly sends an email to you, not even through like any kind of form that's tracked, or like I say, someone picks up the phone and calls your team to book an appointment or inquire, at that point, there should be a process in place within the business, no matter what size you are, that all of that information, regardless of where it comes from, goes to one central place. And the reason for that is, one, because the majority of times, I think it's, what is it now? It's like, basically, in the majority of cases, on average, there's 8 points of contact that's needed with a prospect before they become a customer. So if your staff member picks up the phone, has a chat, they're not really interested at the minute, or they want to find out more information, put the phone down, wait for them to call back, gone forever. Whereas if you had one central place, your staff member speaks to them, they're maybe not interested yet, they put the number, the name, the inquiry, all of that information into that one central place. Boom, now we can market to them again. So we can get in touch with them and say, hey, noticed you had inquired, and just start to send them relevant information in relation to their inquiry. So that could be testimonials from someone who's looking for that service or product, whatever it might be. And the same goes where everybody uses WhatsApp. Well, most people use WhatsApp now. So a lot of websites will have WhatsApp on as a way of getting in touch. So say you've got a WhatsApp phone there that's taking inquiries. How are you tracking how often that person's being contacted? How are you ensuring that you're not losing that lead? And also, how do you know how many leads you've got? If you have to check WhatsApp and scroll through all your messages, check your emails and scroll through every inquiry, there's no physical way, unless you spend hours and hours a day, of understanding how many leads your business got. So how do you know how many leads you need to close or make a sale? You can't. And also, how are you going to market to customers again in a way that is streamlined with how you as a business owner or as a manager have told your customers or your staff members to do so? You can't.
There's times I will say, like, hey, what was the story with John? And like Sharon might say to me, or someone on the team might say to me, who the hell's John? And I'd be like, the guy who opted in for, like, he said that he wanted video. Oh yeah, that was the guy from so and so. And Sharon will often say his business. Oh yeah, we sent him out a proposal. But like, it's kind of random, but that's how I think of that person. I don't think of that person as like a lead. I'm like, that's John from so and so business who wanted video. So with some of our other leads that we manage, I will often go through the CRM and just say, like, what happened with so-and-so? You know, can you give feedback? But now what they're doing is they're making notes beside that person's name in the CRM that we have provided. Sarah got a consultation, paid for her deposit, and she's coming in on Wednesday. Right? So-and-so couldn't make it because she didn't meet the criteria. So-and-so's got her product and she's happy customer. You know, so it's like, stop thinking about these people as leads. There are real people that need you. They need your service. And if you're just ringing once and saying, hey, do you want it? And they're like, not today. You're like, okay, I'll see you later. You've, number one, wasted the amount of money that you've spent on that lead. Waste the money. You might as well have went out and went on holidays yourself with it and had a good time because you've wasted the cash. Number two, that person does want your service, does need your service. Right? So they're just not ready in that moment. Sharon says 8 touch points. We do use 8 touch points in flows. Welcome email, welcome flow. Okay, they've opted in. Next one, next flow, next flow, next flow. Go down like that. But I think it's almost like 20 touch points. You know, whether it's retargeting to them in like a retargeting ad or whatever it is.
And the thing is, when we say touch points, we're talking about where you are reaching out and engaging with them in some kind of format. So it's not if every time they go on your Facebook, that's a touch point. So it's you making a conscious effort to speak to them. And I know that sometimes when we talk, because we talk very much about automation and all of that, that can seem overwhelming. You don't need to do all that, right? That's the dream, because you should automate everything. It saves you time, resources, all of those things. If you don't have a CRM system and you can't afford it, okay. And if you don't have knowledge of how to set up all of these flows to kind of automate responses, that's okay too. But what you can do is open up a spreadsheet and create several columns. So the name, the number, the type of service they're interested in. And beside that, have touch point 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right up to 8, and know what each of those touch points is going to be. So touch point 1 could be a follow-up email. So you send an email. Touch point 2 could be a call, try phoning them. 3, an email, send something different. 4, a call, and so on and so forth. Until then you get to the end of that. And at the end of that, you either say they were interested or they weren't. And you either turn them into a customer or you don't. And one of the most important things there is, if you don't turn them into a customer, find out why. Because finding out that information will help you adapt. If you start to see trends and why you're losing that customer, you can then change how you respond or your offer or whatever it might be to align with getting those customers on board. And the amazing thing about storing it all in one place is you can then see after a period of months, right, I lost X amount of leads to price. So am I prepared to shift to my price? Or I lost X amount of leads to this sales, or when this salesperson in particular in my team was handling the inquiries and this salesperson's closing them all, so actually there's a problem there. So this is the whole reason of kind of amalgamating and combining any inquiries that come in and creating a streamlined process for them, because then you get data out of them that you can change your marketing strategy to help ensure that next time you then can convert those customers. And like you said at the start, the biggest issue that I see all the time is that people will just leave leads on the table because they think they inquire once, they didn't get back, and then they just left it. And we have seen time and time again where we'll inquire, I'll have to chase somebody 7-8 times. I say chase, but just follow up with them in different ways. and then they hunt them down and then they convert. They don't all convert, but some of them convert. And
I sometimes think whenever you're doing that, I'm like, oh my God, I do think they're going to really still buy from us? And they do. Look, I hands up, I was one of the people that kept it in my head, on my phone, in a notepad, rang them. And sometimes whenever I was building the business and cash flow was tough, I would have been like running through my text messages at the time before WhatsApp was even really a thing. God, that's right, they wanted something, and ring them and then close the sale and then go like, okay. So I was like running the business like that. Sharon, I have said this on the podcast before. I've said this to you. You totally changed my life, my business, everything by introducing the CRM. Oh. She spent the first 3 months researching what our business model was, who our clients were, who our competitors were, and what CRM to come with. Now, I totally trusted Sharon whenever she started, her knowledge, because I knew how much she was bringing to the table. But like, I can remember sitting down with you and you pulled it up on the TV in the office in Dublin. Okay, here's this CRM, here's how much it costs and here's what it does. Here's this one, how much it costs. She'd done the benefits of pros and cons. I didn't even know what half them were. I was like, okay, no worries. Like, what do you think? I'm like, yeah, how's this going to help? Now I can log in, hit a button and see how much money we've done up until this exact day and see what our forecasting is for the next 6 months. Our revenue increased last year by a lot. That is all down to a CRM. So the way that I look at it is, and the thing is, it can be overwhelming for the business owner. I've been there. It's very, very overwhelming. You need to speak to an expert. Book a call with Sharon if you wanted, like a 15-minute free call just to get questions. If you want a CRM or even advice on what to do, because we will give you that for free. We're not always selling, because even if that person, as we're showing right now, done a 15-minute free consultation call and got value from that, okay, they don't have the money to buy with us, but that's a first touch point. 6 months down the line, whenever maybe they get one of our newsletters, they might. Do you get me? So that's why we do free 15-minute calls, even if we know the business owner has not got the money to start with Bankhouse Media. Like, we know they don't. I don't care. Neither of us care, because we're like, let's give as much information and help this business owner get to a point where they can reinvest back into their marketing. And how we track your progress is through our CRM system and keeping in contact. Hey, Sarah, how's it going? How's your business going? Brilliant.
Yeah.
Actually, I was thinking about you. I need some videos and I've now got some money to do it. Perfect. And no matter what your service is, you could be doing that as well.
And the thing is, so obviously I said there, you don't need to have a CRM to start implementing some of these things, because you don't just to get pure figures. You can achieve that in a spreadsheet. But the why Matthew keeps talking about a CRM is because it does more than all of that. It runs all of your business processes.
Well, can I tell you the real reason? Reason? I can't use Excel. Like, one of our new bookkeepers that's doing all the accounts and books on one of the businesses sends me everything in Excel, and every time I scroll, everything disappears. All the numbers go to the bottom. She's like, oh no, can you not see that? The tab at the bottom, change the date at the top and that'll all change. And I'm like, I feel like I've stepped into like 1974. Not doing it.
Are you viewing it on your iPad? Because iPads are a nightmare for viewing spreadsheets.
No, I'm doing it on my MacBook, Yeah. I find it's actually easier on the app, but the just while you're jumping in there to show all the other functionality, the functionality that you're talking through is actually what I have learnt from that. Once I couldn't do that, then I'm like, all this other stuff is like unreal.
Well, the thing is, because I don't want to just obviously focus on CRMs because we know the benefit of them and that's why we're getting into that. But before we jump off CRMs, I just wanted to say one massive point that it's not as expensive as you think. So if you're thinking, gosh, I would love a CRM system because it sounds amazing, all these things it can do, it doesn't have to be that expensive. I've used loads of them before, and at the minute in Bankhouse we use Zoho, and Zoho can hold all your account information, can do all your invoicing, can do go-to meetings, which is instead of Zoom, can do appointment scheduling, can do
Calendar,
literally calendar integration, it can do email automation, it can literally do everything, and it's like just over £1,000 a year maybe or something like that, depending on how many.
I think it was like 1,500 for that last year, and that's not even that's just for one business. Just on that note as well, like the CRM, you can get them for many different prices. It's knowing what to do to set them up. I think that's where your expertise
can be tricky.
in that. It like, I mean, I know what I want, but like for some reason you just really get that digitally, which I'm very grateful for.
It is hard. It is hard to, it's not easy to just set up a CRM. It takes, like you said, we worked on ours for 3 months initially and still working on it. And there's still stuff that we're not using that we, can be using. So, like it is always something that you kind of build upon. And it does. And the thing is, you kind of want to get a bit of help setting it up, because if you set it up wrong, you kind of have to almost go back to the start, and it's a bit frustrating. So, yeah.
But
obviously,
the data that you acquire, right, that is get inputted into like your spreadsheet, across with your Google Analytics or your Facebook and your Google Ads, once you compile it into reports, and feedback from on our either in-house on our sales team or with our clients' sales teams, the information that they have, they're like, okay, here's how many we closed, here's how many we didn't, and here's why. Like that whole lot of information determines how much money you can spend on your ads. That determines how much money you can spend on your ads, because you'll know by winning that sale, whether it is selling a makeup brush, you'll know that the makeup brush costs $29.99. You'll know the cost price, the delivery price, the VAT on it, so you'll know what your profit margins are, and then you'll be able to tell back all the way through from the amount of people that opted in, bought, didn't work out, didn't do it. You'll say that to make that sale, it cost me that amount of money. And in some instances, you could say, what the hell, that cost me that amount of money? I'm selling this brush at a loss. It's costing me to sell this brush, right? Now, if you didn't have all that other info, you could sell that brush at a loss for a year and don't understand why your business is going down, because your sales are up. But it's coming from the data in the middle that you're not reading. Now, if it turns out that the brush sale is happening for small and your profit margins are there, still within that, and you're saying, hold on a wee second. If I put another £100 into that ad, that means I could sell another 10 brushes and I could make 10 times more my profit. Why don't we do that? It's all determined on the data in the middle. Without that, it's so difficult to know. It's a guessing game,
Not even ads though, so like this relates to any kind of sales. Obviously you're going to be able to track sales, depending on what your business is. You'll be able to track the number of sales, from your store. So you'll get that information there. But what you're not getting is information relating to leads that come in via any other source either. You're not even getting the start information for any of them. So like if you get a phone call or you get a WhatsApp or you get an email, that all has to go into that spreadsheet or your CRM system, so that then you can track from there right through, to closing. And as well as that, the thing is, whenever you're looking at leads in general, you'll see them in the CRM system. But if you don't have them in that or a spreadsheet, how do you know how many leads you need to get to close so many sales? I would say most businesses out there know how many what they've sold, how much money they've made. If you haven't, well done, but most people need to know that information.
You need to know how much money you're making. Do you know what I mean? Like, you need to know. I always knew that. I always knew how much money I'd brought in every month, you know, but I hadn't worked back how much that cost me with like staff, contractors, you know, all that. I didn't know what my profit margin was.
So say you know how much money you're bringing in every month, right? So that's the main figure you care about. And you don't look at what came before all of those numbers. Then how do you know if you're doing enough as a business to get in enough leads? How do you know it's not going to dry up? How do you know that that's going to continue? Like, how do you know where that came from to keep doing more of that? You know, how do you know where you have missed leads? The sales are there, right? That's brilliant. That's not what we're trying to do. We're not trying to like talk about how many sales you've made. We're talking about out of all of those sales, they started at a lead. So see that lead, what happened to those leads that didn't turn into sales? What happened then? Where's all of that data? So then we can change all of that up, look at it, see where all the sales came from, see where we lost them all, and then figure out how to turn some of those, you're not going to turn everyone, but turn some of those losses into then the sales and improve your experience for customers. You know, that's kind of what's missing a lot of the time for people. Yeah.
With this system, we actually had at one point, I don't know what it is now, but we had like 80% close rate, right? We had a pretty high close rate at one point, I can remember.
It was 60%. So the average, that's a good point. So the average, now it varies in sector, so you can look it up online to see what really your close win ratio should be. So how many people you closed out of all of your leads. But on average across all of the sectors, a good close ratio is 20%. Mm-hmm. So if you know, and that's another valid reason for knowing the lead numbers, because if you've got X amount of sales and you're thinking, gosh, that's brilliant, right? But you were tracking the leads and you know, well, if I actually see how many leads I brought in there, I actually only closed 10% of them. That's not there's good, problems. Right? So there's something wrong.
Yeah.
So knowing the numbers allows you to identify the problem and then fix it. So that's basically in a nutshell.
I can remember once our lead closure was like 80% at one point whenever we had a conversation. Like it was around in lockdown times, but I think what happened, we were taking on clients that maybe shouldn't have been working with us. We changed, remember, like with the new version of what we are working on right now, like, and I was saying to Sharon, like the contact forms, we're not going to close 60% of the leads because the people that are going to be clicking on the page and coming through, there's a different criteria and entry point to work with us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because we are closing 60%, but, you know, I still want to close 60%, and if we drop below it, heads are going to roll.
Heads are going to roll. But
I'm only joking.
I'm
really happy. I'm really happy with the close rates and I'm really happy with the growth. And I wouldn't know either of those numbers unless I had, do you know how I used to do it as well years ago? I used to go onto my bank and go to the search and then put the income, like how much money's came in, and used to put that for a year to figure out how much I'd made that year. My accountant wanted to kill me. Like, I mean, it was just, back then, it was just nuts. I just didn't know, and entrepreneurs don't.
Well, this is the thing, because, you know, what you'll do is, right, as a business owner who's making money, you'll be going and making money brilliant, and you'll be going, want to make more money. And everyone around you'll be going, right, okay, fair enough, but where are we getting this? Where are we getting more money from? It just doesn't magically happen. Yeah. And where it all starts is knowing the numbers, you know, and as well as that, like we've talked about this briefly before, I think, like if you're tracking all of these numbers, you'll then be able to see, and even if it's on a spreadsheet, right, you can just, another column, basically if anyone wants tip on a master spreadsheet for leads, just let me know, because I could talk about it for days, but there's a column that you should always have that is lead source. So where's that lead come from? So if then at the end of the year you can just run run a report on that Excel spreadsheet to see the lead sources. If you find you're getting 0 leads from LinkedIn, for example, then you go, LinkedIn isn't working for me. So I'm going to stop wasting my team's time, my money on creating content for LinkedIn when it doesn't serve any purpose. And I'm going to actually invest more of that money in an email marketing campaign that did work for me, or on Instagram ad spend because everyone's on Instagram. You know, that's, again, a reason for knowing the numbers, because it helps you to kind of stop wasting time.
Exactly. One of the clients rang me the other day and was like, "Hey Matthew, I want to start Google Ads." And I said, "Yeah, no worries, 100%. Let's have a look. Just send me through your keywords and I'll just see. This is very top level, just to see if we could make them money. Send me through your keywords, key phrases, and I'll send it over to the guys. See if there's something we can do." And we had a quick look, and whenever I looked at their budget, the money they were going to spend with us, and then the money that they were going to spend on their budget, I was like, "Listen, you're not going to get this. You might not get the sales you want, and it's going to take like 3 months or 6 months to get there. Why not take the extra fee that you're going to spend with us and the extra money you're going to put into Google ad spend and put it into your Facebook that we know is working?"
Yeah.
You know, so they almost like doubled, not totally, but nearly doubled their Facebook ad spend, and then are putting themselves in a position where they're getting more sales, making more money, and then can take and reinvest into the other side. Do you know? But I know that straight away, because as soon as they tell me their key terms, I send that over and get a report from our Google Ads team. Then the Google Ads team say, "This is how much we need to spend," and I'm like, "Okay, well that's a bit of a." I just make the decision there and then, put it in, and now we're making more money on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, but without knowing all of those little numbers and how much exactly they're getting per sale on Facebook, how much their profit margins are, and then going back. So I can do all that in my head now because I've got so used to it, you know. Whereas if you don't have any of those numbers in your head, then you gotta like just be patient with yourself and start to learn them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And it takes a wee bit of work, you know, but actually whenever you start to see the numbers, and if you're only starting it, it's going to take you a few months before you're really going to start to be able to understand the data, because a week's worth of data is not enough. You know, you need to be running it for 6 months to a year to kind of start to see trends in data. But it gets exciting then because you can identify pitfalls or you can identify opportunities. And that's kind of what it's all about. Now, another big thing when it comes to mastering leads is who you've got handling the leads. So 2 things here. One, are they trained up? And by trained up, I don't mean have you spent 10 minutes with them explaining here's how you speak to the customer, or here's the form you get them to fill out or whatever. I mean actual training about what type of messaging they should be saying, what they should do with that information when it becomes a lead, regardless of where it's from. Train them through kind of normal kind of issues or objections that, you know, you've had in the past from customers that have signed up with you or before, or that you've lost. So maybe loads of customers always have an issue with the price is too high. I understand the price might be a bit higher out there in the market. However, the reason for that is that we do X, Y, and Z. That sees your business get X, Y, and Z. You know, have them fully trained so that they can overcome any objections. They know exactly where to put the leads, what information to get from the leads, because if they don't find out how this is why I'm jumping now because I'm getting excited, but this is why whenever you fill out forms on websites, they'll say to you, how did you hear about us? They're not asking you that because, you know, they just want to know for the crack. It's because it's important data. So all of that information, train your staff member up so that they're fully equipped to handle the lead and report on the lead. Because the amount of times that what you'll find is people are thrown in at the phone and not given that training, don't know what to do with it, and you've just, your first impression isn't the right impression, and you've lost that lead.
If you are lucky enough to have an A+ salesperson on your team, anybody coming into it has and must shadow them for at least a month. Shadow them. And I'm talking on every sales call, right? In the office with them if you've got an office. I mean, the person must, if you don't have anybody on your sales team and you are the best person to sell your product, the person you're coming in, number one, has to have sales experience, understand all these touch points, understand how to use a CRM or a spreadsheet. Then they'd be bringing something really, really important into your business. then they must shadow you. How many calls did you do with me? First of all, whenever we were first starting out, like I was, especially in lockdown, we were doing like 30 websites a month. We were doing back-to-back non-stop calls. And how much did you learn about Bankhouse on those calls?
Oh yeah,
From
so
me?
much.
Do you know
And
what I
you
mean?
also learn what customers are going to say, you know, what kind of
Yeah.
queries they're going to have. Like all of that information should be somewhere as
And
well, you know.
I learned a lot from the feedback from Sharon. Sharon was like, Matthew, you're overwhelming them a bit. You know, you get excited and you see their business 10 years down the line. You know, pull back a bit and bring them to the next step. And I learned that as well about my sales process. So everybody's learning, but it's like you must have them shadow and understand every part of their business. If I give someone, which I have in the past, you know, I've just expected people to learn it like that and threw them in at the deep end. They were out misrepresenting my company. Now they didn't do
Yeah.
major damage, and they had full goodwill. Like they wanted to, they had a full goodwill of where they were at, but they just didn't have enough training or enough information because we grew so fast that I had to have people
Yeah.
out there. What happened in the long run? They sold a 20 grand website for 4 grand, and then I had to pretty much take the fucking hit on it. Do you know what I mean? By building the flipping thing. So you know, I learned the hard way, the long way about that. So I've had it where it hits and it goes like, yes, everybody's flying, this is great. And then I've had it where people are like, you know, A players and can shadow you and close. Not every business is able to have someone shadow them, but if you can, you must.
I think it said when I was reading stats, I can't quote this one because I didn't write it down, but something that, you know, and this is obviously not in relation to e-commerce stores because it's all done online, but businesses outside of that I think it was like all the majority of your sales comes from 20% of your sales team.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, I would say that's true.
Yeah, and that's not on them. That's on you as a business owner. You know,
Yeah,
you can't expect people as much training as someone has had in the world, you know, with sales and account management and all that I had, but I can't just go in and start selling in Bankhouse or being an account manager in Bankhouse because I need to know the processes you have. I need to know the messaging you have. I need to know
our capabilities,
customers.
our
Yeah.
times
Oh,
for turnover. Like there's so much information that you have because someone will say to maybe Sharon on a call, okay, well how long will it be until my site's live? Until, if she hasn't heard that or seen that process or worked through that, how can she answer that without potentially putting pressure on the team? If she said 2 months, she might lose that sale because someone on another call has said, I'll do it in 3 weeks. You know, if she says 2 weeks, then the whole team's overwhelmed and she's going to fail on meeting that commitment to her customer. You know, so it's about just trial and error and taking all the data and storing it and changing your processes as you go. You know, the way that, sorry, go on ahead, you were going to say something.
well, I was just going to say something else too, because obviously we're talking about salespeople there, but just to a reminder, that whoever responds to your generic info at hello at emails, whoever is the first person that picks up that reception phone, you know, whatever it might be, they're your salespeople that need trained on all of that sales training as well. It's not just whoever they pass that over, you know. Now, different if it's like kind of a switchboard where they're just passing a call to a sales member, but a lot of the times what you'll have is someone on reception or someone answering inquiry emails that are responsible for forwarding it on to the team. But did they get back and say, thank you so much, your inquiry has been received, a member of our sales team will be in touch with you in XYZ, you know, to ensure that the contact is flowing all the time. So like it's really just nailing down any touch point that that customer has.
And just be sound. You know, remember that person
dead
is
on.
a human being that is going to be spending with you from 19.99 a month on a subscription to like potentially $100 grand contract. So you gotta like just treat everybody with the same respect. You gotta be kind. You gotta keep them well informed. You gotta have them where it's like, hey, listen, you know, this is what's going on. As a business owner, I haven't really had anybody bypass you guys and say, hey, I'm not dealing with them. They want to. I've had people bypass me and say, go to Sharon and say I'm not dealing with me.
Yeah,
But
on the other side, obviously, then I know when it's to go to you. You know, I'll bring it to you.
yeah, no, but I'm saying
Um,
no one's ever felt underserviced to the point where they've came to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like across all the businesses, maybe
Which
is
is
there one?
another valid point. No, I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say, which is another valid point in that, you know, getting feedback from clients, because if you get feedback from your clients, then you know what you were doing well, why they chose you, and then you can start talking about more of that to your leads on the emails. You know, it could be like, so if we know that we, you know, all of our customers own their own website once it's built or whatever it might be, or we do copywriting on the websites. Hey, I know you've inquired, would love to jump on a call with you, just to let you know some of the key features that we provide are on
Yeah,
completion, you own your own website fully, training on handover, you'll be able to update, complete updates if you want, blah, blah, blah.
yeah,
So you can tailor your sales messaging to those leads based on what your client has said is what they like about your business or your service.
yeah. No, definitely. Look, I mean, we could talk about leads all day long.
All
It's
day.
why I have been so adamant on changing the whole company towards this direction where it's like lead gen, buying leads, selling leads. You know, we're actually looking. What we're doing is also taking the calls, you know, to the point and like bringing them to like a not a close because it still has to pass over to the client, but warming them up way more. There's many different services that we're offering within that. Um, I'm building out our own custom based Bankhouse Media CRM that all of our clients will go into, and it built for them, doesn't cost them much at all in comparison to what they can make from that. You know, and it's really really important just because what we found was when it's left to them to gather all the data, they don't, right? So we can't do our job properly. So we have now like eliminated that by saying this is what it takes to work with us, and one of them is going to be where we put in place every single touch point of data capturing, so nothing is left in the hands of the potential client or the client.
And just on that, because it can be overwhelming to try and capture all of that data in one place. So that's why a CRM is beneficial, because trying to catch it on a spreadsheet, you can't do it easily enough as long as you tell everyone and you set the spreadsheet up correctly. But what you can't do then, there's a lot of manual labour involved in that, which can be time consuming. So what the CRM does is if you get an engagement, so a like on Facebook or a WhatsApp message or whatever it might be, or an inquiry into the inbox in an email, straight away it all just feeds into the one place and then starts sending out responses based on that, so that there's one place so you can see all of your leads, and you can see what's going wrong or what's going right and then tweak it. And there's one thing I didn't mention, but you touched on it briefly and I just want to say it. It's a bit out of context here, but just want to get across. We've said it before, and the stats are the same, even though we're totally in online business and even though everyone's online now, the stats still show that 80% of customers would prefer to the ability to speak to somebody. It's not saying that they want to, it's not saying that they have to, but if you don't have a way of getting in touch on a phone call or whatever that is, then there's a big opportunity to lose leads there because they just don't have the confidence that there's somebody behind the business.
Yeah, 100%. Also, another thing that Sharon didn't bring up there that was on your notes, even though I very rarely read fully through the notes, but I
Well,
did
you
miss
told me
one.
there was too. You told me there was too much.
But there was one thing Sharon said: you must, if possible, reach out to a lead within 5 minutes.
Oh
Like
yes. So
that's going to be unrealistic for some
well,
people, but I'm telling you now, that's what you need to do. Sorry, go on ahead.
within 5 minutes, if you do that, you're 9 times more likely to engage with them.
Oh, I am like on it. Sometimes I was talking to one of my clients today and I said, I feel, because our office is out in LA, I feel like we're like a 24-hour digital media agency right now. Because
I
by
do
the
days,
time I
you
go
do
to bed,
nights.
Sharon's picking up, yeah, which is funny. But I'm telling you now, it's definitely got us more sales, having that.
Yeah, so within 5 minutes, 9 times more likely to engage with them, but definitely within the at the absolute max within the 24 hours. But bear in mind, they'll be doing the research. If they haven't heard of you before, the chances are they've looked at a few people. So they'll probably have reached out to a few people, and then what will happen is if the longer you take to get back, you've missed that opportunity.
I tell this story a lot. We done the final presentation for a company who had met with 10 website developers, 10 agencies, 10.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my God, I want to get this, right? I was so adamant I wanted to get the job because there was 9 other people in it. I'm like, Sharon, let's do the best proposal. We didn't get it. We lost it. They fell into one of our pipelines, one of our flows that Sharon reached out to on numerous occasions. A year and a half later or a year later? It was a year later, I think, we done their videos. And then a year and a half later, we rebuilt all their website. And we're really, really happy to be working with them. We love working with them. But there was 10. We were the 10th proposal, 10th interview. And he said no. 18 months later, we done their websites. But up to 12 months later, we'd already done their videos. And we still work with them. We end up doing their ads. We've done loads of different things. So that just goes to show you how much this works. And that one nearly blew my mind. I was like, okay.
And can I say what we did there for that one is lost a business. So put in a task, however way you want to do it. You can put a task into a CRM, put in a note to check in with this customer in, I think at that point I was doing it in 6 months' time. Reached out to the customer in 6 months' time. Hey, how'd you get on with your website? Hope it all went well. And then they said, actually, we're looking some video work. Would you be free to do it? And then we done the video work, went well. Actually, we didn't like our website. Would you do it? So it varying up the message and always kind of reaching out to people. Don't just do sales messages. Like if you send an email all the time, do you want this business or not? Is there, it's not going to work. If you just leave it, it's not going to work.
It's always like, see, whenever they're leaving, I can almost tell them what's going to happen in 6 months. Because they're usually going with an agency who's a web development company, yes, but they're not a marketing agency. They're not writing the website pages like sales pages. They're not using the call to actions and tracking them the way that like we insist on it whenever someone leaves us. So that's good. But anyway, we're going to have to wrap it up here in a minute, but that was really enjoyable. I enjoyed that.
Well, can I just end with my takeaway because I wrote it out?
Yeah, of course.
Let's see if it works. So basically, because that is a lot to take in. So the summary of it is, if you don't know your close-win ratios, if you don't measure your lead numbers, if a phone call isn't part of your touchpoint journey, or if your team haven't received in-depth training on objection handling, there's definitely something that you can do today to improve the leads for your business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and fall in love with it because I always joke that like Bankhouse is like an ATM, and once you get the numbers right, the money comes out. And what I say about the numbers is all of the clicks, opt-ins, sales, and then you can just keep putting money into the ad side and then more money comes out the other side.
Actually, my one final point that I really want to end on is don't just expect leads to close. So if you're not following up with them at least 8 times in varied ways, there is 100% leads that you could have closed that you haven't.
Oh yeah. Yep, that's it. 100%. Okay, so I'm going back to the madness now, and thank you very much for watching, as always.
Thank you.
And we will see you on the next one.
Bye.